No, we're getting ready. We're going live now. Here we go. Okay, folks, whoever will show up here, it's going to be an interesting challenge to talk to our friend David Hollis, author of The Mystery of Ayat Lake Monster Revealed. He has a couple of Facebook groups, Kisatchie Forest Bigfoot, and by David House and Scott Pace, and Northeast Bigfoot and Paranormal Research. You can also find him at Squatchland2.com and www.xlibris.com. And so this should be interesting. So I don't know if we're kind of like in a situation right here where no one showed up yet for some reason. I don't know what the deal is. But anyways, David, how are you doing? Can you hear me, David?
Yeah, Michael, I can't hear a word that you said.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
So how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. And I'm glad to be on with you.
Well, this I hope this works out. I don't know if it's going to work out or not. But
well, first of all, we don't just do Bigfoot. You know, we're truth tellers, and basically any truth that we can pull out, we do. And you know, that involves, you know, stuff about the cabal and the backs and just a lot of different things. And we've paid for that truth, haven't we?
well, I know I have. That's for sure. I've had a channel taken down and everything.
Close to 4,000 subscribers on your channel before YouTube axed you.
Right.
And no telling where you'd be right now. You probably have 6,000 to 8,000 right now if they'd have just left you alone.
Well, you know, if you care about your neighbor, then you're going to do something.
I'm glad that you decided to go back to doing this.
Yeah. Hey, Nancy, can you hear David? Let me know, because we're in a predicament where I'm trying to.
I wanted to tell y'all
do you hear
about
now?
how I got started in this. I hope everybody can hear me.
Try my best to get the mic of your phone neck close.
Pretty good, Mike.
I don't know, Nancy. Can you hear David? Could you like enter in the chat? Anybody?
I'm not hearing you. But I will just proceed with this. First of all, I moved. This is after the death of 3 real close family members. And I just decided to get away and go live out in the woods. And my house was already being rented by a policeman, and he paid me like clockwork. So I didn't want to move him out until he was ready. So I moved in the woods across the street from a cabin. And it was right across the street from Dartigo Swamp, which is one of the oldest swamps in the world, because I live in the Appalachian foothills, and most people know that the Appalachians are considered the oldest mountain chain in the world. So if there's a swamp in there, it's got to be one of the oldest swamps there is. And there's creatures that I've caught on camera that are just unbelievable. And all I can say, it defies anything that we've been taught or thought about as being Bigfoot. But when I first moved there, I didn't even have a camera phone. Everything was physical. One day I was going to the grocery, and I turned out onto the highway, and there were 4 spiked deer running right alongside the road. And one of them decided to go back into the woods, and it climbed up this embankment that was at least 20 foot tall. And as soon as it got to the top, this big arm, this black hand and arm, reached out and jerked it into the woods. And let me just tell you that you can't unsee something like that. Being, growing up as a hunter and very astute as to what I know is out there, I mean, that was beyond anything in my normal reality. And I didn't forget it, and I contemplated it over and over. Well, when I got back home from the grocery, I was, at that point, I was very aware of my surroundings. And I could feel them in the yard, and I knew they were out there looking at me. So I would go sit out on the front porch and smoke a cigarette and listen to them milling around. And there was this old well across the street, and I could hear them going over there to drink from it, and I could see the bright eyes shining, and I started talking to them. Well, every now and then I'd get some response, but I wasn't getting the response that I wanted. And of course, after watching those stupid shows, Finding Bigfoot, I did some wood knocks. And they didn't really seem to be doing very well with those. And so finally, I kind of huffed and puffed and gruffed like a bear or Bigfoot or something, and I beat my chest, kind of like a gorilla. And one of them beat his chest and did a wood knock across the road, and my dog ran over there. And when my dog went over there, he started throwing down with one of them, biting, growling, and I knew when he had flesh in his mouth, because he can't bark, all he can do is growl. So I picked up a stick and ran over there, and this is the stick I was beating on a tree with. It was very stout, and it was solid oak. And I ran over there, and I beat their X down they put across the trail, and I screamed, "I want my dog." And I was very loud and nasty when I said it. Well, one of them beat his chest and then hit a tree with his club, and then he pushed the tree down, and then he did a bluff charge in front of me. And man, let me just tell you, that freaked me out, and I changed my tone immediately. And I explained to them how I'd lost 4 family members, and I told them, who it was that died, and I told them that my dog has been there for me the whole time, and that I just couldn't lose him right now. And I said, I know y'all love your babies. I see y'all with your babies, and I know that y'all love them. I said, I love my dog like you would love your baby. I said, please don't hurt my dog. And so they let me have my dog back. And I told them that we were going to be good friends. And I tell you, I've never had any trouble with them ever since. It's really turned out well. Michael, how am I doing? Y'all able to hear me?
Well, it seems like it's registering. Folks, I'm putting my crappy cell phone next to the mic so you can hear him, because he doesn't have internet service.
Yeah, I can see that you're talking, but...
So, okay, you can see it?
I can't understand. But I'm going to go ahead and keep going.
Yeah, you keep going.
I didn't have a camera phone. And I decided that moment, after I got my dog back, I said the next morning I am going to go get a camera phone. And it's the same phone I'm using now. It's a flip phone. It's 4G, and it is only 5 years old. But let me tell you, it's got an HD camera on it. It's the only flip phone that's ever had that nice of a camera. So anyway, a week later, I had tracked them down in the swamp to where there's some islands that they like to hang out on. I saw a footprint filling up with water, and I stepped, I looked down, I got down near it, and I took my shoe off to compare, and it was about 18.5 inches. And my heart started beating. I mean, you got to keep in mind, I'd never seen a Bigfoot. I thought I had, but wasn't sure. Maybe just glimpses here and there. But let me tell you, I was tripping. Okay, and I said a prayer. I said, Lord, please let me capture whatever just happened here. And I heard a voice. And the voice said, rise up and take a series of shots and you will catch it. And he said, go from the left to the right. So I set it on a series of shots. It takes 5, and it takes it within a few seconds of each other. And all I have to do is point. And I was looking through my camera as I went, and I just covered from the left to the right. And on the 4th and 5th shot, I got it good. And she was standing out in the middle of the swamp with her baby on her side. And I named her Bessie. Now, I've seen Bessie many times. Many times. I'd be mowing the yard, and I could see her, over there looking at me. But I never have caught her again on camera. But let me tell you, she's turned out to be one of the best captures ever.
Still hearing you, okay, buddy? You just keep going.
Good.
You just keep going. It's going to be too difficult for me because my voice is just going to dominate over you. So you just keep on sharing your story, and and folks, I'm holding the phone next to the mic, and it's a workout for me. How's it going, Browndorf? Hold on a second. Let me say hi to a few people. Hi, Sheldon. Hi, Julio. Hi, Deborah Butler. Hi, Browndorf. Diesel. Who else have I missed? There's a lot of things I like to say, but it's a situation. He's out in the boonies, and I'm going to just have to do it, wing it. Christy, if you're still there. Nancy, thank you for there. And here we go. Okay. Guys, I'm not going to be able to really respond to you, so thank you for the comments. But it's going to be a workout for me to hold the phone up against this mic, and believe it or not, it's going to take both hands. So, okay, brother, go for it. It's all yours. Just tell the story, man.
All right. So, me not knowing and being really new at this, and having literally one of the best captures in the entire world, one of the clearest pictures ever, I call the BFRO and turn it in. And after talking to Carter Brouchard several times, he ends up coming down about 11 months later. Now, I captured Bessie on February the 4th of 2017. And came down on January the 17th of 2018 on the coldest day in 50 years. It was 16 degrees. And so we went out in the woods, and I showed him everything. And look, he had a $10,000 camera that he let me borrow, and I really got some good stuff. And I ended up writing a book with that because it was just so much and it was so good that I had to. But what was interesting is he only wanted to discuss Bessie or any type like that. He said the BFRO will not discuss any type of cloaking Bigfoot. It's just, they're not going to discuss it. They're not going to bring it up. They're not going to consider it. So basically every picture I ever sent him since then, he didn't like it. Well, I quit fooling with Carter. He's a nice guy, and I do notice that he is embracing the woo a lot more. But, basically I ended up catching at least 29 patty-type Sasquatch. But I always noticed all these others around them. And there would usually only be one sass that I would catch. But they would always have, 20 to 50 others around them that were the cloaking type. So, when all I can catch is 29 of these patty type sass, but then I'm catching 45,000 Bigfoots and dogmen that are of the cloaking variety, I'm not going to, I'm not going to exclude them. I'm going to include them in the forest people because they're there and it's what exists. I've got to deal with all of it. And, I'm getting little people and everything. So anyway, my internet speed is so pitiful out here in the woods. Plus it's raining, pouring down. It's been raining for like 4 or 5 days. But what is interesting is I can go out there right now and take a picture of a Bigfoot, and they don't blow any fog when it's cold outside. But I've shown recently in groups a patty type sass that's blowing hot breath in 16-degree weather. And that's the difference right there. I mean, one is a physical being, probably Denisovan man, but it's surrounded by all these others that are not necessarily physical. So I've actually sat down and I've talked with Brutus and Scar. Both of them are chiefs. And because I've sat down and talked to them, none of the others will speak to me. It's like I'm set apart. I'm only for them to talk to. And, I've gotten some incredible pictures of the next one we were going to show, I think, is the one of Ashanti.
Yes, I'm showing it now.
And Ashanti came several years after I'd been in this, and I had moved back to my house over in Pollock after the renter moved out, and they followed me over here. And one day I was sitting on my front porch smoking a cigarette, because I don't smoke in the house, tobacco that is, and I just asked to see a baby. So I'm talking to and looking through the camera at these Bigfoots that are across the road, when all of a sudden this patty type sass, 9 foot tall, comes in on my right hand side and actually steps on the bottom step and twirls right in front of my camera to the right, and then goes back out, and it kind of came up on me so quick, I didn't even know what the hell was going on. It could have been a cat jumping up on the rail. and getting in the way of the camera, I didn't really know. I just instinctively rolled to the left, and then when I come back, she was gone. Do you realize if I would have had some warning, and if I would have caught her on her way out until she was out of sight, do you know how important that video would be right now? It'd be like 1967 all over again. I mean, I just wish I could have caught more of her, but it doesn't matter. It was a miracle, and it was exactly what I asked for. She brought her baby in to be seen, and it was just amazing. So anyway, I hope y'all get to see pictures of that.
I'm showing it right now, buddy. I'm showing the pictures right now.
Awesome. Yeah, because my internet froze up. I'm probably not even 10 minutes into this thing.
No, you're doing good, man. Hold on a second. How's the audio? You guys still hearing it? I'm doing my best. I got to put this phone next to my mic, and so I have to it's not easy. This phone is crap, and I can't use.
You're doing good. It seems like everybody.
I mean, I could put it on speaker, but then you're not going to be able to hear me at all. But if you guys can hear it, we're going to keep going because this is. I have the utmost respect for David for many reasons. So when I have I will always be there for David. So you go ahead, man. You just keep on going, man.
All right. So I have shown Ashanti in probably hundreds of groups. I've gotten kicked out of groups because of Ashanti. For some reason, it's not being looked at as serious evidence. And on motion, I mean, on slow motion, like 400 times slow motion, it's approximately 45 seconds long, and the stills that were cut out of that are absolutely astounding.
Yeah.
And how anybody couldn't, I mean, I showed it to MK Davis, and he said, David, right off the cuff, it's astounding.
Hold on a second, buddy. By the way, I'll be MK will be joining me Monday, 1 p.m. live. We're hopefully going to do a new series. 6 years ago, me and MK did a 24-part series on Sasquatch and all that's associated with it. I think we'll have a lot more to share with you. One more thing, Ashanti, there's an amazing picture, and it also demonstrates that how as infants or as babies, they almost look doll-like, very almost like it's hard to imagine, but it's anyways. I'm gonna shut up. You keep going, man. Just keep going.
Well, anyway, MK Davis said it's absolutely astounding, but he hasn't done any work on it. I guess maybe he looked at the work I did on it and thinks it's sufficient. I just don't know. Maybe he doesn't have time to drop looking at Patty. And he's been doing Patty 40 years. And he does keep finding more details out about her that we didn't know. So, but I wish somebody like him, I really wish he would. I wish he had time to do it, because I think he could do it more justice than I can. So anyway, since then, I've captured about 4 or 5 months after her. I captured Johnny the Sasquatch. I named him Johnny. And he's around in my yard all the time. And I've actually seen him a couple of times coming and going from where Ashanti lives. And the other night, I actually saw them together. Now, I have a capture of Johnny in my backyard. And I didn't know I mean, I've captured Johnny in the woods near here several times, and I know his face well, but I didn't get his face when I captured him in the backyard. He was just moving through, and I just saw basically his rear end and his leg and his arms, but his face was turned from me, so I didn't see what he looked like. But I know it's him, and he was going to Ashanti. So, but the other night in the dark, I didn't get. Of course, I didn't film it. I mean, it was too dark, but I saw them together. So basically, I've got the husband and wife, and that's pretty special.
Yeah.
I'm still looking at this picture that you opened up with of that dog man in that canyon, and I just want to talk about him for half a second. I walked within 2 feet of him, and I knew he was there. And what I did was I trained my camera on him as I walked through there, and I walked right past him, and I just acted like I didn't see him.
Which one is it?
So I'm getting
Hey,
really
which one is it? It says Louisiana skunk ape from Fish Creek. That's not it, is it?
No, that ain't it. That was that picture earlier.
How about is it include this proof of a pretty patty type? No, that's a patty type. How?
No, it's in the very beginning.
Oh, the collage.
Yeah, that collage on the top right of the.
Oh yes. Okay, okay. You keep on talking. I'll get even a better picture than that. Okay, thanks.
Well, that's all I wanted to say, really. I've got this canyon down there, and I own about an acre or two of it, but as you go down into it, it goes into my neighbor's land. And it's really spooky, and there's caves, and I've caught Bigfoots and dogmen in the caves, and it's just really an awesome place. I did a great job when I bought this piece of land. I mean, I can walk right into the forest, and they're everywhere. They're on my land, too. So I just can't leave. I mean, I wish I could go and have great internet speed, live in a major metro and all that. But, I wouldn't be here with this tribe. I'm literally sitting on a tribe, and they're with me 24/7. All I got to do is go out there, and they're there. And they don't leave. They'll sit right there, and I'll talk to them and everything. And it's cool. So
It's a fascinating image. It's very.
let's go back to the skunk ape at Fish Creek on 7/13 of, I think it was 2020, wasn't it?
Was it them? There you go. Okay.
So anyway,
Is that the one? Is that the one you want?
well, I can't see it. We're talking about the skunk ape.
Yeah, I'm showing the skunk aches. So you go ahead and keep talking about that.
All right. So I took a friend with me, and I asked him before I went. Of course, I just said it in my mind. I said, "Look, I'm bringing a friend, and he really needs some cheering up. Do y'all think y'all can, let him see?" And they were standing right there. He was within 3 feet of them. He even blew smoke on them, and he didn't see them, and it was just unbelievable. But they did everything they could do to be seen. I mean, I really got them. And I was standing just 12 feet away when I took the picture. And he was really close to him, and he was within 3 feet of him. And the whole time, the one that we're looking at was flashing his eyes and everything. And I was like, "Look at him. He's flashing his eyes." And he just never saw him. But
Let me ask you a question, David. Where the eyes at? Did you put like a a mark on it, or is that the eye? Is that eye shine from it?
That's the eye shine. Sometimes I will dot the eyes to help people to see, but no, I didn't do anything to that one.
I can see it. I can even see the movement of it. So go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you ought to see the film of it. You can see it opening and closing its eyes, and when he does, when he closes his eyes, the eye shine goes away, and when he opens back up, they shine again, and it's just unbelievable. That was one of the best captures ever on film. And what's amazing too is I'm learning not to take pictures. I mean, sometimes pictures come out better, but you can't catch them in movement unless you're filming them. And as long as I'm filming them, I've got a possibility of actually catching movement. And people see that. Sometimes they just don't see a picture no matter how clear it is. But if they see it move, voila, they see it. And I've got 11 movement videos now. So basically, all my pics now are cut out of film, which sometimes they're a little bit blurrier, but I still want the possibility of catching them in movement. That's more important to me right now than the blurriness of a pic. It just is. To me, it's real evidence, and that's what I'm shooting for.
Keep on going, brother.
So, anyway, let's go to this next one in the swamp. This big, huge Bigfoot Dogman hybrid. That's the fourth picture that I sent.
I think I have it.
Basically, there's this island in the swamp. It's near the deer run where I caught Bessie, but it's a little bit to the left. And I always catch a harem there. And there's this really big albino Bigfoot Dogman hybrid that lives on that island and has that harem. And he has Bigfoots and dog women as his harem. And the way he looks in that purple is because every time I've caught him, and I've caught him over 1,000, I've got him in 1,000 pics, multiple occasions with different women. And that's how I know what I'm talking about, because I've seen him with skunk ape women, Bigfoot women, and dog women. Different colors, different, shades of fur on different occasions. And the others will be on the island with him while he's doing his business. But what I did was I set my pre-filter on my phone to food, and that automatically turns them kind of a purplish black. And I got him good that day. And, it's filtered, but it's pre-filtered. And I really got him good. Now, I've gone back on 2 years later after capturing him. That was my anniversary capture, by the way, of Bessie. I went on 2/4 of 2020, 4 years after the Bessie capture, and I caught him there. But I went back 2 years later with Chief, and it was this past February of 22, and we caught the same creatures on that island in different positions, and looking a little bit different, but they're the same creature. And I knew they were going to be there. I knew they would stay there. And Chief was able to look through the camera and see them clearly. But then he commented, but then if I look away and look with my eyes, it looks like brush. So I was able to train him how to see on the screen and recognize them. And it really opened a whole new world to him. So anyway, I've caught that guy over and over and over, and I'm going to be going back. My goal is to go back in 3 days on 2/4 and see what I captured. Going back to that island and then over to the right of that island to the deer run, and who knows, maybe I'll capture Bessie again, maybe I'll capture another Sasquatch, or maybe I'll capture that huge Bigfoot dogman hybrid again. But I'm going to get something. I mean, I keep going back on that day, and I'm gonna get something.
I know you will, buddy. Tell us about your book.
Well, the first book, I don't know if y'all, and I hate to mention the name because of some controversy he's got himself in, but let me just tell you, D. Doss, he's one of the most knowledgeable people about Bigfoot that I know, and I've known him for quite a while. But he did
I've known him
video
too.
on my book, and he said that it reads like a field trip where I take you out in the swamp and show you what's there. And I've got 110 pictures. And if you go to Squatchland-The and buy it strictly from that website, you're going to get the book in gloss. Now, Amazon is going to charge you the same amount, and it's not going to be in gloss, and it's only going to be in 3-color print, and it's going to be on regular paper, and it's just not going to show. And matter of fact, I think it's almost sabotage, to be honest with you, because Ingram is the international printer that prints for Amazon, and you know how these big companies are. They always got some deep state in them. And I just feel like that those books are sabotaged. But if you get it from Squatchland2.com, they're going to be in gloss, and they have 5 stars on it. And the pics are amazing. And, you know, basically, I don't like talking about anything at all unless I've got some supporting evidence, like a picture, to show what I'm discussing. And I'll dive deep into it if I've got something to show. And that's what I do. And I take you in the woods with me and show you what I see. And I discuss what I think's in the picture. And it's basically kind of an introduction. You know, it's the very beginning and how I got started. Pacific Review said it reads like a whirlwind of adventure. She said she couldn't put it down, had to read the entire book, and constantly goes back to it to look at the pictures. So, anyway, I had to write a second book. The first book is an introduction, and I do show 4 different types of Bigfoots. I show the patty type sass, and then the Bigfoot, and I show the skunk apes, and then I've got a classification called other bipeds, or unknown bipeds, and that includes dogmen and all that. But then I ended up writing a second book, Squatchland-2, Under the Sign of the Crooked Snake. And the reason why I named it that is they marked their territory with the crooked snake, and I've got pictures of tree markings showing that. And basically, it goes much more in depth. And this is after having conversations with Brutus and Scar and learning much more about them and the hierarchy that exists out in the woods. And, you know, I go into conversations. I go into, well, one time I gave a pack of crackers to a Bigfoot mother and child, and they're smiling, and the child's holding the pack of crackers in its hand. I've got a Bigfoot smoking a cigarette. There's some pretty deep stuff going on in that book, but like I said, I don't discuss it if there's not a picture. So if I've got something to show, I'll talk about it. But my last chapter in Squatchland-The is historical evidence, and I run down all the historical evidence, and there is quite a bit for the physical patty-type Sasquatch / Yeti / Almas, because they're known by different names in different countries. And I believe it's Denisovan man. As a matter of fact, the DNA was tested on Quit's molar that Dr. Igor Bortsev exhumed his skull, and he had Brian Sykes of Oxford University test that, and it came back with 46 chromosomes, sub-Saharan African, of 200,000-year-old root stock. And of course, he was half Russian. His mother was an Almas. And there is plenty of evidence of this. And that is what the Sasquatch is. It's Denisovan man. But Dr. Melba Ketchum, her DNA test had 24 chromosomes. That is Bigfoot. She said the mitochondrial female mother DNA was modern human, but the father was called novel, and it only had one chromosome. So that is a much more modern creation within 10,000 years versus 200,000-year-old root stock. So my goal really in all of this is to bring out the fact that the patty-type Sasquatch is a human being. They're our cousins, and they are related to us. Denisovan man and Neanderthal and Homo sapien are all three descended from one ancient ancestor, and it's called Homo antecessor. And it came out of Africa 200,000 years ago to Central Asia. And in Central Asia is where we see the split between Homo sapien, Neanderthal, and Denisovan, with Denisovan mostly going to the east, and Neanderthal and Homo sapien, mostly going into Europe. But that's the way things are, man. We're cousins, and they're very human, and they have to deal with all these other forest people out there, and Foots and other dog men and all that. When I get a picture of a patty type sass, I get everything else around them. I mean, they're all hanging around them like they're rock stars of the forest.
Yeah, I described it as that like they're like fleas. They just
they do. Any type Sasquatch I get, they'll be all over them. It's like they're trying to cover them up and cloak them.
Right. And I can't remember. Was it Wednesday, folks? Anyways, I think I did an excellent teaching of Esau and Jacob. and it is a not parable, but it's a story, basically simplified of what you're talking about.
Well, I think skunk ape is part Bigfoot and Neanderthal.
Sure, it is. It's just all mixed up, isn't it?
I do. And the reason why they're so human, but yet they can cloak, but they cannot cloak as good as a Bigfoot. It's like they have half power. They just have half the power that a Bigfoot has. They just can't get it done. And I don't know that they want to. To be honest with you, they're very nice. Out of all of the creatures, the skunk ape to me is really the nicest. They're always smiling.
Right. So, hey, man, I do appreciate this. I would do it much longer, but man,
But let me ask you this: Have you noticed even the skunk ape? They don't blow any breath.
I haven't seen them blow any breath. No, I haven't. No.
Yeah, I've only seen the patty type sass blowing breath. It's wild, but that's just the way it is. And I've actually seen them with my eyes. But, you know, I've done things like pick up the camera, look through it, and I can see all of them over there, and then I pull the camera down and look. And unless you have a trained eye, you won't see anything over there. I tell you, Janice Carter told me to look for shimmering. Kind of like on that Predator movie where you would just see an outline of it, but in the center it was just shimmering and you could see whatever was behind it. And that's what I look for, and I know they're there. And I can pick up the camera and look over there and look on my screen and see them and verify that what I think is there really is there. So that's what I'm doing. I walk around looking through my camera time. It's a wonder I don't trip.
You are a very dedicated man. I do appreciate your work, brother.
Well, it takes repetitives. You know, I go back to the same areas. People want comparisons. You know, I tell them, hey, compare this video to the last one. You know, because I keep going back to the same places all the time and showing the same areas. And, you know, even when you do that, it's still hard to go stand in exactly the same spot you were in 3 months ago. There might be a briar patch there already, you know. I mean, I live in a jungle. I mean, let's just face it, Louisiana is a subtropical jungle. And it doesn't take long for the brush to grow. That's why they burn the brush around here. They do what they call control burning.
Yep. I understand. Well, brother, hey, listen. My shoulder's burning like the dickens. I think this is a good start. Hopefully you guys heard this. If its audio is not good, I will adjust it and make a video out of it. Or if it's good, it'll just keep being alive. I am going to take a break. Then I will, if right with you, I will play one of your videos. Maybe the latest one that you have of and you know, because it's a bit of a challenge to do it this way. It's worth doing it. I wasn't really next time we'll have to figure it out to do a better job, because you live out in the freaking boonies, man. And I'll tell you one thing, folks. If you say I'm not dedicated, come on. But I'm gonna Ashanti's husband. Did I capture Ashanti, the Sasquatch's husband? So, but I can't play the audio because of the music, and
Okay.
uh,
Yeah.
but I'm probably going to. Well, I don't know what to do here, except if you don't hear anything, if you still want to talk, I need to take a break. I need to stretch and all that because I'm 55 years old, and this being in one spot, crunched like this, is tough on me. So if you're still around, you can hold on, and we can talk some more. But meantime, I need a break, folks, and then I'm going to play something. Um, but first, before I do that, I think we'll do Friday. We have the Orb Whisperer with us, and he's from Australia. He did some great stuff. I'm going to play the video, no audio. Once again, you got all this copy music, and it just, you know, causes problems. Anyways, we'll watch this, and then you're not going to be able to see, you might be able to see it, but you're not.
No, I'm way behind.
Okay, so you just sit back. It'll take you about 5 minutes or so. You from me, okay?
All
So
right.
take a break, whatever, stretch it, whatever. We'll talk in a little bit. Sorry about this, folks. It's probably just like, hey, man, but the guy, he lives out in the boonies, man. He doesn't have a computer, so, but he's got, you know what? He's been there for me, so, and check this out. There will be no audio. Oh, God. Deborah, you said you heard him fine. Good. I hope so. It turns out well. We will show some of the stuff. I heard it well. We're going to go in reverse here. Honestly, his purity and his devotion, his selfishness, is an inspiration in my life. Um, Selflessness, inspiration in my life, and it has definitely helped drive me to search for the truth forward. I don't know who you're talking about. If you're talking about me or you're talking about my buddy Dave. Hey, y'all. Sorry about the audio. And so that's from David. We're not done yet, folks. Of course, we're not done yet. Sheldon. Yes, he has, Julie. He's glad he's plowing forward. Mike has sacrificed a lot over the years, and thanks, man. Thanks. Could use a booster like that. Thank you, Mike, for holding the show. I appreciate your dedication to truth. Sounds good. Deborah, thank you, Mike and David. Nice show. Well, we're not done yet, so I don't hope we're not done yet. It's an accumulation of energy beings and not an ancestral. Okay, Joey, you might be right. Where's the room for multidimensional beings in the thousands of reports? You have accounts of. Yes, we do. Maybe your cousin. This is great. Last week I did. I think I did a darn good study on the allegorical story of Esau and Jacob, and the description of Esau being hairy like a Bigfoot is undeniable. Great book. I have both books and gloss, says Deborah Butler. Happy anniversary, says Nancy D567. On the catcher, David. Yes. Yes, MK is awesome. Excuse me. Doing great. Okay, it sounds okay. So the image there is from Paul. He's from Australia. He's known as the Orb Whisperer. And another person. You find a lot of people who actually know what's going on don't have big followings. The people that are distant, well, I would call them muddying the waters, have hundreds of thousands of followings in my book. But who the heck? What do I know, right? So we'll get that out of the way. Oh yeah, there's one of my groups right there at Northwest Ohio Bigfoot Research, and you can see some pretty decent images that I've been able to capture. Maybe what we'll do is I didn't get a chance. I'm practicing and see about these brands and these videos, short video. Let me play a short video, and then we'll see what happens with David. So check it out. So I hope you heard that. I'm trying to. They got a lot of images too. One thing I'm appreciative of David is he's allowed me to share my images on his Facebook pages, his groups, and in particular, let's remember this again. Let's look at this. Yeah, hold on, brother. I got it doing a little bit here. Okay, that's all. Um. So yeah, where now? I gotta go from sidetrack here. Um. Let's see. Let's look at once again. Sorry about this, folks. Trying to. This is not easy to do it this way at all. So, but it's worth it because Dave is worth it. And he's a hard-working dude, and he's contributed a lot, and he's helped me. I mean, he was one of the few people that would even. I have to tell you that, like David, I've been rejected by 90% of what is called the Bigfoot community for sharing the images that I've captured and my own experiences, my own encounters. So I appreciate David and his willingness to have allow me to be on his Facebook groups. First one being Kisatchie Forest Bigfoot by David Hollis and Scott Pace. They should be in the information box as well. And if I have put it there, there was a reminder video I did earlier. It's a couple minutes long where you can find the links. Northeast Bigfoot and Paranormal Research. Okay. Now that we got that out of the way, I mean, and I needed a break. I mean, you try to do this as 55 years old, being crunched up like this and not get all cramped up. Anyways, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Let me get a little echo here going on. Can you? Why we have an echo?
There is an echo. Let me turn my volume down.
Oh, don't turn your volume down. We need to hear you. But it's you got the video or something else playing in the background or something.
No, I cut it off.
Okay. So, yeah. So you've been how long you been doing this now? About a decade?
Well, I've been kind of into it all my life. But like I said, I was strictly physical up to about 6 years ago. And when I caught Bessie, my very first capture, I noticed other beings in the swamp. And like I said, the BFRO would not discuss them. They only wanted to talk about Bessie. They did not want to discuss about these cloaked beings, these translucent ones. I knew I was on track right then because I knew there was a much deeper subject that they didn't want to delve into, and I wanted to know why. And the more I got into that, the more I realized they treat it very similar to the way they treat UFOs. I mean, they're going to stamp it out, they're going to laugh it out, they're going to heckle it out, they're going to troll it out. I mean, that's what they do. They don't want to talk about that. They don't want you talking about it. And so I just kept going, you know. And I'm really getting some really wild stuff. A lot of it's really blurry, I'm going to just tell you. But out of every blurry picture, there's going to be one individual in that picture that you can see pretty good. So I learned that they can't keep that cloaker up the whole time. They got to shut down for a second and then go back up again because it must cost them energy to do whatever they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that you keep a camera trained on them long enough and you're looking at them on your screen and you're filming them, when I go through the film and cut it, you know, I go frame by frame. I'll go from one frame and it'll be blurry, 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 and then all of a sudden there'll be a clear. They'll let down. Sometimes they'll all let down at once and they all become clear, and that's where I'll cut the frame right there. And it's wild, but I've noticed if I am in my house and say it's in the evening or it's or early in the morning, and they think nobody's looking at them, I can see them plain as day. I can see babies jumping from one back to another, then up in the tree, and they're all playing with each other. But the minute they think I'm looking at them, all of a sudden they're cloaked. If I walk to my door and I just don't think about them at all, and I swing that door open for a brief second, I'll see them, and then all of a sudden, boom, they fade out. So, it costs them energy to do whatever they're doing, and that's what I've determined.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've got a question here. Do you think I got a couple questions? I don't know if I can keep up with this, guys. I'm sorry. Sheldon asked, "Do you think there's any way someone could harm these folks, David?"
Yeah, absolutely. It's much easier to harm a juvenile than it would be an adult because they just don't have this cloaking thing down pat. I mean, I could bring you out to my front porch and we could sit on it, and I've brought many people to my front porch. And I'll just say, look down low and look for a baby. And if they look low, they'll usually see one and point it out to me. And every now and then you'll see one move. They just can't do the cloaking thing like the adults can. But the other day, my friend, this was about 3 months ago, came by here, and she got out of the car and made it up the front steps and sat down. I said, "Do you see anybody over there?" And she said, "No." I said, "Well, look right over to the left. Do you see two hulking shapes that are kind of shimmering over there?" "Yes, I do." And then all of a sudden she grabbed me. She said, "Oh my God." And the male came up to the edge of the wood line and showed himself. He said, "I see him." The big male just stuck his head out and smiled at me. So they will show themselves if you're a special person, if they like you. So anyway, it's interesting. It's been a fun ride, and I've caught some.
So what is your perspective on the spiritual side of things, as far as ghosts and spirits and that kind of thing?
Well, let's just talk about what we're dealing with, okay? 10% of it is physical, but the 90% that you really can't see with your eyes unless they let you. But through the camera, I can see probably 90% of them, but there's even some that can cloak from the camera.
It's true.
But I think that we're dealing with a much newer creation there. I do think they're Nephilim, but they're the descendants of many generations later. And it could even be that there was a new creation of watchers. Obviously, what I'm dealing with is not evil at all. I've never had anything bad happen to me. Period. Nothing but good, actually. And I think it's very possible that there was a new generation of watchers that was created. Now, it could have been in the Old Testament when Israel was being led through the desert after they had left Egypt during the 40-year trek. Remember, Moses went up on the mountain to get the tablets, and when he came back down, he saw that they had built a golden calf, and he threw the tablets at the calf, and they blew up, blew the calf up and everything. And the ground opened up and swallowed up about a fourth of the Israelites that had gone in that direction. And God told Moses at that time, he said, I tell you, from this day forward, all heaven and earth shall testify against you. I think he could have spoke them into being right then and there.
Well, it's an interesting perspective. Tell us more. What you think.
There's some other people that have found some other areas that they think might give reference to a second group of watchers. But I'm just saying, I've never had anything bad happen. Now, I've gone out in the woods and I have felt some bad, and I kind of felt like they were pushing me away from that, like telling me don't go any further. And I've listened to my gut on that, and I've left. But, I think the guys across the road would tell me if they need me to know, hey, look, there's something out there that you don't need to see. Don't go out there. Matter of fact, Scott Pace came over to my house about a month ago, and I interviewed him on my Kisatchie Forest Bigfoot channel on YouTube. And while he was here, they told him that we can't go. They didn't want us out in the woods because he had brought his Cajunized golf cart that's jacked up, and he takes it in the woods. And we were going to go to the canyon, and they told him no.
Okay, so why do you think they did that?
I don't know. They didn't want us. They didn't want us out there. They could have been steering us away from danger, or who knows.
Now, when you said that they told him not to go, was it mind speak or was it feeling? Would he feel dread? Was it mind speak? What happened? How do you know?
Yeah, he mind speaks with them. Matter of fact, when he was coming in, he passed the canyon on the right. And when he pulled up to my house, he said, David, they're down in that canyon. I said, yep. He said, when I pulled in, they wanted to know who I was and why I was there. And he said he told him, I'm just coming to visit David. He knows I'm coming. And while he was there, and we interviewed him in my front yard, I had 2 cameras trained on him. So we got to see all the milling around behind him. There was a baby climbed off an adult's shoulder and climbed up a tree. And I did a zoom and crop at, and you can see him climbing up. And there was a lot of activity around us while I was interviewing him, and they knocked the phone out 4 times. And then when we got through, he went to go unload his 4-wheel drive golf cart, and that's when they told him no, and he had to strap it back on again.
Now, hey, listen, I am now playing the video of Ashante's husband. Tell us about it. You said you filmed it outside your window, huh?
Okay, yeah, it's right here in my dining room. And I had I got a street light. And so I just cut my phone on film, but I didn't have it filming. It was just ready to film. And as soon as that security light cut on, bam, I hit the record button. And, well, as soon as I saw some movement, I hit it. And when that light cut on, it moved. It went behind the corner of the house as fast as it could. And I just love it, man. I got him in action.
You sure did. Now, do you think this is pure flesh and blood entity, or is it multidimensional?
Yes, flesh and blood, tracks, everything. Yeah, they leave tracks, flesh and blood, totally physical. But they use the magic of the others.
Talk about that.
Well, they've always got the others around them. And a lot of the pictures I have of a patty type sass, they've got them in front of them and around them, and all you can see is their head. You know, that way they can see out, but they don't cover their head up, but they'll be all over them trying to cloak them.
Well, that's a great take, because you're right. I see him always in like a mass. I always describe it as like having a bunch of worms in a bucket type of thing, right? They're just kind of crawling around each other, kind of using it as a block. They're using other entities or spirits to cloak themselves. Talk more about that.
Well, they just, look, they're the rock star of the forest. And they literally, these other entities follow them everywhere they go. I mean, it's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like they're a damn soap opera star or something with paparazzi everywhere they go. It's just unbelievable. And whenever they sit down, they air out disputes and settle disputes amongst each other. And they're kind of like the judges and the kings of the forest. They really are. And I'm going to tell you right now, they're very godly. They're very godly. And I'll go outside sometimes. I'll have my church on speakerphone. I can call in the call-in number and listen to it, services on my phone, and play it on my speakerphone, and they'll all be sitting over there. Sometimes I take pictures of them while I'm doing that. That's always been interesting.
Well, let me tell you something about what I do. When I start praying out loud to the Lord of all spirits, Heavenly Father, and bring up the name Jesus, all of a sudden it's real easy to film these things, and I don't have to go very far. I can go to my porch and start filming them.
I just don't see them. If you've got God's mark on your forehead, the way Revelation talks about in end time, I don't see them harming anyone. But when the shit hits the fan, and you know it is, because Revelation says it will, well, I see them being my friends and helping me. That's all I can say.
Well, how I see it is this, that we're dealing with, just like it is in humanity, there's good and there's evil, and there's everything in between. I think you just can't judge everything as it being evil just because we don't understand it. I think that's part of my problem in the past, and I see that with others too, is that you can't just assume everything that is whether it's supernatural or just beyond our understanding. You can't just assume that everything is evil. That's what I've learned. Saying that, I've had some terrible experiences with these things, and I've had some interesting experiences with these things.
He gave this to me. It's a miracle. He gave me my heart's desire. Look, I used to bass fish in college and in high school, and I caught some really big bass. And he gave me my heart's desire, and this is what I'm doing now. When I was in business, I did really well in business. So it doesn't matter what I do. I'm gonna do it really, really well and be blessed. And I mean, honestly, God's not gonna send me some evil creature to bless me with. You know what I mean? No way.
Well, what if this is just like our time, a revelation of what's always been there, that there's always been these multidimensional beings, spirits, other things, and Sasquatch, Bigfoot, that has always been in the forest and here's the thing, David. We live in a dualistic creation. I say this all the time like a broken record, but there's night and day, there's darkness and light, there's good and evil. And they also kind of represent, no, kind of, they represent our, we, the, the other half. We are like beings of light. We can't operate without a flashlight in the dark. You know what I mean? Or these things, this is when this their time. What do you think about that? So, in other words, the night is their time.
Well, all I know is if you read Enoch, they're gonna come back in time. He says that the giants will return. And, well, apparently they're going to be against the people, and think about it, man. When it comes time for zombie killing time, whose side we going to be on? I'm going to be on God's side. I'm not taking no mark. I'm not going to line up like a little tin soldier and do what they say. When Sunday law comes upon the land, I'm not going to be doing it. I never did Sunday. I'm a Christian, but I keep Saturday and Sabbath. I'm not going to be doing that. And think about it. Jews and Muslims, we've got the Bill of Rights. And the Bill of Rights protects our religion, no matter what religion we are. If we go against one, we're going against all. And basically, it's the destruction of our Bill of Rights that's at risk right now, and that's what they're coming against in every form. Your right to carry guns and everything. They're against all that. So, at some point, this country's going to be ripped apart. And I want these guys on my side. I don't know about you, but I think I'm friends with them, and I think they're going to help me.
So, yeah, well, I think that you're not alone. I think everyone has their different experiences, right? Like I said, I think that you just can't label them all as good, and you can't label them all as evil. They have, like, I guess, in a way, a personality like a human being does.
Well, you gotta go with your gut. And you know what? I was in business. I didn't have to like everybody that I did business with, but I did good business. And it's the same way with these guys. I get feelings, hey, maybe I shouldn't go any further, get up on this guy anymore. I get feelings, and I listen to them, and I get what I get. I'm going to go out there, and I'll deal with whatever is out there, good or bad, and I'm going to get what I get, and that's just how it is. I'm not going to be scared. I feel like God gave us dominion over the earth and all the creatures, and I'm going to take it. And that's my philosophy. That's how I live. And I've just never have been scared. And that's one thing about it. If you go out there with fear, going to feed you more fear. You go out there with love, they're going to give you love. And that's what they're giving me back. They're showing me love. And maybe it's just as simple as nobody's ever been nice to them before, and they like me because I'm nice to them. I don't really think about whether they're good or whether they're bad or none of that. I just go out there and I'm nice to them, and they're nice to me back.
I'm still listening. I'm listening to you. I'm just trying to think of what the next.
Julio Lua's got a problem with of what I have to say. But
Well, they're good. They're good people, and so it's just everyone takes it a little bit differently. But I wouldn't worry about what it is. You have an extensive amount of a lot of experience with these things, interacting with these things, sometimes on a daily basis. So it's really important to hear your perspective of things, and not to be and I think that because of the unknown and because of what we have read and what we've been told and indoctrinated with, it's like a kind of hard. For me, I mean, I have to be honest with you. From 2017 to probably 2019, I was totally convinced they're all demonic. But as time goes on, in my experience, I've changed. I realize I can't say that about all of them, and I don't understand them. I mean, they look like a lot of them. I mean, let's be honest. They kind of, as far as how a human being would see them, they look ugly. But I imagine they probably see us as being ugly too. So I mean,
I
it's
think so. I do. I think so. And, but let me just say this: I've got to have an opinion on stuff. I mean, I've got 45,000 pictures, and I've got 10,000 films. I mean, I have to. I mean, all that's in the cloud. It's an entire terabyte in the cloud on OneDrive. I mean, that's like more than a lifetime worth of stuff. And
that's a ton of stuff. That's what it is.
Look at all of it.
It's a ton of stuff.
I'm just touching the surface when I show y'all stuff. There's so much stuff I've got that I need to go back and look at, but I keep getting more stuff. But I have to have an opinion on some of this.
Oh yeah. Well, like who says here? Listen to what he says. He says, he goes, because I understand where he's come from, because man, it's abusive. The community is really abusive, right? So he says, I just ran across many shills, David. I am not denigrating your experience whatsoever. I just don't trust them and what they have done to many, many, many people. So I mean, so you can see, I don't think he's tagging. He's tagging you. So, and, if I thought you were not legit, I wouldn't have you on at all. So,
Well, let me say this: what I talk about is really what's going on right here. I mean, it's true that I have squatched over 40 states. I mean, I've got film from 40 states. But do I know them in 40 states? No, I don't. But do I know them right here? Yes. And so really, I can only tell you for sure what's going on right here. Maybe I've just made friends with them, but maybe they're not friendly elsewhere. And I know I've read about tribes, and I've watched film. There's even historical evidence about tribes in Canada where people just disappeared. The Indians said, "Do not go in this area," and anybody that dared go there, they would never come back. I mean, there's lots of documentation and stuff like that. But I don't know about those tribes. I just know that the tribes that are here have treated me well. And they've treated me very nicely. They've showed me much respect. And I love them for it. And I think they love me. I know that I've had somebody that was clairvoyant talk to them across the road. And they told them that they love me and have much respect for me. So I really can't say what they're doing in your neck of the woods with any assurity.
It's true.
I can tell you what to look for. I know I could come over there and I could find them. But if you come here, I can be very for sure about what's going on right here.
Yeah, I agree with you, Dave. Just like my my turf. That's all I know as well, right? I mean, I not tell what other people and their experiences are. Because we're coming to realize that there are millions of these experiences. Most of the time, people either can't recognize them, don't want to recognize them, or afraid to even talk about it. Not because of them, the entities that they're dealing with, as far as in the forest, it's what they're afraid of people. So, but anyways, Julia said, thank you, David, for coming and presenting your experience with us. It's really neat, actually. So, it's just, no one's. I guarantee you, no one in this room is against you. So, uh,
I'm glad he's considering some of the stuff I'm talking about. You got to understand, I ran into a tribe of patty type Sasquatch that are human, and they're physical, and I've actually sat down with the king and one of the tribal chieftains, the local chieftain,
that's
and
wild.
I have a friendship with them. Now, I haven't seen them in a couple of years, but the few years I did sit with them and talk to them, I mean, it was very enlightening. And they told me that about the others and that they were not like them. And so it really is important that I get that message out. And it could be simply that the reason why things are the way that they are here is because of them. If they weren't here, it might be a totally different ball game, just like in other parts of America where they're not so nice, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I've had some pretty bad experiences. I have some pretty bad experiences, especially with the things that come along with them and sent my way. But I also strongly believe that there was medicine men and women and people that practice the dark arts that sent them my way too, which I had to learn about spiritual warfare. So
Well,
that's
there
so
was,
it's a mixed bag, and everyone has a different experience. It's since that time I haven't had anything really. So since basically 2018, I haven't I had a couple moments of dread, but overall, it's been nothing as far as any kind of negativity.
yeah.
Anyways,
Well,
Julio says, what I'm saying is, what is the end game with these things? What are they about? Building structures and being love beings? It's just a lot of contradictory information out there. He has a point there. You know what? I'm going to do what? Why don't you give us your take on why are they building these tree structures, and why, whenever, at least for me, I've noticed wherever they, like you're talking about, they use a lot of energy to manifest, and I
yeah.
sometimes think that they have to use the life essence of the forest trees, and in the end, these trees die. I've seen several trees die after these things popping out of them, and that's just absolute true. So, what's your take on it?
Well, I can tell you that ain't the patty type sass. They're not popping in and out of trees and rocks and all that, and they're not building all those structures. All that is what I call Bigfoot. That's that.
Well, I have to tell you, the ones that I seen that have popped out of the ground and all the trees were 100% look like Bigfoot.
Yeah,
100% and big. It's like a Bigfoot too, and they were
yeah.
in my encounter. So,
The jaw on the Bigfoot is so much bigger than a Sasquatch. I mean, it's unbelievable the difference. The Bigfoot can literally eat a Sasquatch like a popsicle. I mean, its head is half as big as a Sasquatch. I mean, that's how big the head on a Bigfoot is. So they're totally different. And yeah, I mean, they can transfer into orbs. They can meld in with a tree, and you look, that's why I pay attention to the trees when I walk by 'em. If it's a really big oak or something like that, I'm going to have the camera. I may not be standing and looking right at them, but as I walk by, I'm training the camera on it, because then they'll show themselves if they think I'm not looking.
This is true. I have the same experience with oak trees as well.
But if you turn and look at them and put the camera on them and they think you see them, they're going to fade out, you know. So I've learned that trick, and it costs them energy. So if they think you're not looking, they'll show themselves. But a lot of times, if they think you're looking, they'll just blink out on you. So I play games with them like that as I'm walking through the woods, and you know.
Well, David, to me, in my book, you're the real deal. So.
Well, all I can tell you is keep up with me and go to Kisatchie Forest Bigfoot on YouTube and subscribe. And if you just look at the videos, I've got 11 movement videos on there. And, you know, see it in motion is really enlightening. And always be watching for me, because I'm going to catch something soon that's going to blow everybody's minds. I mean, it's going to happen. And it just takes time, you know. But having Ashanti come and twirl in front of my camera after asking for it, I mean, that ought to tell you right there, you know, it's going to happen. So keep up with me.
Yeah, you know, and here's the thing. Like, if you guys sub to my channel too, will you? I mean, these guys get tens of thousands of and all they do is story tell. We're actually doing some research, and we're trying to inform, and like, we're not even getting paid for it. So I mean, geez, he doesn't even have 1,000 subs. He wasn't even taken down. I mean, I have an excuse. I was taken down. I'm just starting up again, really. But you know, the thing about it, sub, we're not asking for anything more except to be, so that the next time we put a video up or something, you'll be there, you know, and you can learn. That's all we're asking.
Yeah, it's amazing how they can gain. But I'm going to tell you this right now. I think a lot of it has to do with, here comes a train. A lot of it has to do with what you watch on YouTube. If you like conservative stuff, they're going to put the do it not amplify button on you, and you're going to be shadow banned. But Matt Squatch put out a video, and he put out a video, and what he did was and had him in at the same time in his house, and he put it all on liberal stuff like The View, CNN, I mean, stuff like that, over and over. And, you know, eventually after 3 days, it'll start running automatically on suggested, and he just let them run. He said after a week, he had gained 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I can believe that, but yeah.
He got rewarded for that. So, yeah, we're being shadow banned.
Well, that's for sure. I know that 100% for me.
Yeah. But I want to mention Deborah Butler. She's been with me from the very beginning. As a matter of fact, she was my 39th friend on Facebook. That's how long she's been with me. And we started the Northeast Bigfoot and Paranormal group in Facebook, and we've been going now for about 4 or 5 years.
Jeez, how long have I been known?
We've got 12
I,
It's one of the best Bigfoot groups out there.
how long have you known? Dad, how long have I known you? I think I've known her for 7 years, 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, 6 years.
We've both known her for
Yeah.
about 6 years. Salute to you, Deborah and Christy, and all those who are.
And then Scott Pace and I wanted to do one for Louisiana in the Kisatchie Forest Bigfoot, and it's more of this area's region. We have the Kisatchie National Forest, so that's a perfect name for this area, and it's got a little bit more of a hometown flavor to it, and a lot of people from Louisiana is in the group. But, you know, we still have an international following in both groups. And people as far away as Australia and Britain are in the group. And a lot of people showing stuff from all over. And honestly, they look very similar to the guys I have.
Yeah. So you know, actually, I would love to actually interview some more folks that's in our. I would consider in our little circle of investigators and those that have knowledge that we have. I'd love to hear what they think about my images too. Am I the only one that's seen them filming? I just was wondering about that. So, but that's I guess.
You know, I've seen your films and pics, man. You do a great job. But I have to tell you, I have not seen a patty type sass in anything you film or have pics of. And honestly, I haven't seen one in anybody's stuff.
No, I know I haven't filmed a patty type sass. Not at all.
I haven't seen a patty type sass since 1967. I haven't. And I've been looking. If somebody would film one or show a picture of one, I'd be the first one to congratulate them. I really would. But I haven't seen one, and I'm the only one that's produced any of them since then, and I've got 29 of them. And I just want them to be recognized. I don't know what I'll have to do to prove it, but I don't know if you ever can prove it, you know?
Right. Hold on a second. Julio, it should be in the link. It's also in the reminder video. And you're looking at his YouTube channel right now. The best thing is to just look there because you're never going to, unless you can see the spelling, it's just the spelling's funky. It's Indian, right? It's the Kisatchie Forest or Kisatchie or whatever. I'm from up north. Come on, man. We don't speak like you guys. I'm just kidding. Yeah, but it's Kisatchie Forest Bigfoot, and it will be in the information box, so you can follow his YouTube channel. So go ahead, bro.
Well, somebody on there saying it's Bama BF, beings of darkness. You know, there are beings of darkness out there, but I'm just not going to be convinced that they're all dark. There's no way.
Yeah, there's no evidence of that. I think you have to approach it. Again, I've had really, really negative experiences, but that's not. But it's not. It's not always the case. And you have to approach it like these are intelligent beings that have personalities, and there's good and evil. There's just like everything else, and there's there's beings that are sentient beings that's like us as well. They got emotions and they got personalities and that kind of thing. So you can't just, which I used to do, by the way. I used to label them all as just demons because I didn't know any better and there was nobody to talk to. You know what I mean? And the people I did talk to, they didn't know what the heck they were doing. They were, they just pretended they could talk to or about. You know what I mean? I didn't have any help from anybody, from shamans or Christians. I had to figure this all out myself. I was in the Bigfoot community. They don't want to be fully honest about what's going on here, and
Well, I'll tell you, first experience with a knower was with Carter Brouchard of the BFRO. And we already know that ain't the greatest place to go to. But he's kind of coming out of that, and he is accepting the woo more and more. And I think I had a lot to do with that. I want to say that.
Well, I think, David, we need to stop calling it woo. It's degrading, and it's degrading us, and it's belittling us. And I do believe it's part of the psyop. It keeps saying they convinced us that it's, that you got to be in two camps. You're either going to be in the woo camp, or you got to be in the flesh and blood camp, and it's ridiculous. This is a multidimensional. It's just like it's God's creation. It's what we're dealing with is even bigger than the creation that we actually recognize with our own eyes. I mean, and it's just,
right. And so somebody who had a lot to do with my learning about what's going on is Janice Carter. And I don't know if you're aware of the book My 50 Years with Bigfoot, written by Mary Green, co-written by Janice Carter.
I certainly do.
But I've talked to Janice on the phone several times, and she's told me a lot. But she's not dealing with the Patty type sass either. She's dealing with Bigfoot. But apparently they got enough physicality to them that when Fox was a baby, he fell out of a tree and broke his leg, and Janice's grandfather picked him up out of the road and went and set his leg, and he lived with them, for a while, but then he would go visit his parents, during the day, and then he couldn't stay in the barn at night. But, I think that they're all different. Everywhere you go, I think they're a little bit different. I think you just cannot say with any legitimacy that they are this way, because you go somewhere else and they just are a little different. Does it make sense?
Yeah, what I always say is they're regional. We got dealing with familiar spirits, regional spirits, and entities and beings. What I have around me is more in line with grassmen, boogers, and Bigfoot. We don't have Sasquatch here. At least I've never seen one where I'm at. We got things that are at least the ones I've seen. They're nothing like the Patterson film, but some look very human. Some look almost apish. Some look very dog. It's a mixed bag. There's not like a whole group of them that all look exactly alike. We talked about this already right before the show, that you could be in a group and there'll be one that looks like a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot, and one will they'll look like a dog man, and etc. That's how that works. At least where I'm at.
Well, there ain't no rhyme or reason as to why so many of them have all these different looks. They're all sitting together. They all mimic each other in behaviors. So I just count them all as the same. When somebody says, "Is that a dog man? Is that a Bigfoot?" and they're sitting right next to each other, it don't even matter. Especially when they trade out on wives. I mean, I have pictures of a Bigfoot man and a dog woman wife, and they've got mixed children. So how do you explain that? I've thought about this for a long time. There's only one way you can explain it, and that's Nephilim. And the reason why, remember, I told you about Melba Ketchum's DNA test where it only had 24 chromosomes, and one of the chromosomes for the father, it only had one. It was called novel. Well, if they can mate with a woman and have children, then they can mate with a Bigfoot and have children, and then they can mate with a deer and have one children. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Um, yeah, Deborah, I'm in Northwest Ohio on the border of Michigan, in an area where if you look at a Bigfoot, those sighting maps, there's none there. There's yet I've seen them myself well over clear as day, definitively see with my own naked eyes, well over a dozen half times and had encounters, and they all happen in my town, in my area. So we're dealing with different things here. Like Dave's dealing with something different than I am, as somebody up in northern Michigan is dealing with something different than me, and or in at Washington State or California, where my big brother saw a Sasquatch, him and his wife. I was saying all this time it's him and his son, but he corrected me. It's him and his wife that saw it. And so and numerous people out west are seeing things like in film. But I think we're dealing with multiple beings, multiple interdimensional beings. We're dealing with things that are much more higher level. We're dealing with parallel dimensions of different frequencies. There's a reason why our cameras pick up one thing and we see something, we see with our naked eye something different. And apparently we can't talk honest about it, but I'm hoping that people like me and Dave can start be heard, and there's a whole bunch of other people like Dave as well, and we all have a piece of the puzzle based on our own experience and what we've seen. And so so it's I think it's a great value. We just can't this I can't judge my experience with Dave's, and Dave can't judge his experience with mine. I mean, if we're being intellectually honest about it, we have to say, you know what? I have not experienced what Dave has seen. I have not filmed what Dave has filmed, nor has he experienced or filmed what I filmed. But that gather the data together, we'll end up having a clearer picture. And what I'm getting the picture is that what we're dealing with is just as complicated and just as diverse as the physical realm is when we talk about the different species of animals, whether it's mammals or reptiles or insects, fish. We're talking about right next to us, just as diverse, but we can't see them based on numerous factors. And I don't know. What do you think about that, David?
Yeah, it's different everywhere. I mean, going back to my skunk days, they are so human, but yet they have cloaking abilities. But they only have half the abilities that a regular northern Bigfoot would have. And the northern Bigfoot's head is so big versus the skunk ape. I'm telling you, they're almost human. I think they're a Neanderthal cross. I really do. But you just don't have that type everywhere. You've got them here. You've got them in Florida. You've got them along the Mississippi and Alabama Gulf Coast. But you don't really have them everywhere like that. So I just think as you go across the country, and especially if you've really read up on everything the Indians said about it, you'll realize that different tribes have different descriptions of different beings as you go across the country, looking into what the tribes have to say. And you realize there really are multiple types. Some are just downright cannibals. You just can't even go. Like Mount St. Helens, before it blew up, I mean, there were many people that said, do not let the sun go down and you still be there. You better be off that mountain by the time the sun goes down. But yet the Sasquatch would raid the fishing nets down in the valley at night. They said that they were really pretty nice. We let them take the fish they want. They don't harm anything. They don't tear up anything. They leave it just as they found it. They just take a few fish out. So they left them alone. They didn't worry about them. They let them have a little bit. And but they said, definitely that there were different types. And you've just got to read up on that to really understand that. A good one to read up on is the Giants of Lovelock Cave. And these giants, let me tell you something, they have the actual 9-foot skeletons. They have a size 32 sandal made out of this reed called the Thule reed, Thule. This reed, the Paiutes, there was a lady in the 1890s that was missionary trained. She decided to write down, before many more people died in her village, to write down all the stories of the Paiute. And there was a written about the Giants of Lovelock Cave, and they would come in and grab somebody from the village and take them and eat them. And they got tired of that, and so they found a way to see them, because they said they could disappear right in front of their eyes. But they found a way to adjust their eyes to the shimmering and find them. And they shot them with arrows. And they just kept driving them with fire and arrows back to their cave. And they built a massive fire in front of their cave and tried to throw as much into the cave as they could. And they trapped them in there and burned them out. And a bunch of them died. Now the Smithsonian came and took all the skeletons. And of course, they don't acknowledge it. But there were 2 skeletons found in another cave just on the other side of the ridge. And they're 9 foot tall. Now, left in the cave, the Smithsonian didn't take were these size 32 sandals and some fish baskets that they had woven. And they actually had some flour left in the cave from the Thule reed. So they used it for flour. They also used it to make mats, and they had some sleeping mats made of it, and these sandals. And they made these rafts that went across the Pacific Ocean to land over on in California, and they made it into the desert around. It's not far from. I think it's in Nevada, right on the border of California. But there was a valley at one time that had a creek that they dammed up, and they grew that Thule reed in that valley, and it provided all the nutrient that they needed. That, and then eating people, being cannibals and all.
Yeah, I'm sure with me and MK Davis will be talking about that and his experience with that, and him finding the handprint and all that other stuff.
Yeah, a lot of people, there's a lot of videos on this, and it's just astounding how much they found there and evidence of this. But I think I caught one of those red-haired giants. There's a barn over here at the haunted house on Hall Hill, and I caught him standing right in front of it, and it looks like he has a black man's face, but if you look at the skull, it's more like the Kennesaw man skull. And essentially, it's probably ancient Polynesian skull. And he's about 9 foot tall. Now, I can't say definitively that is one of the red-haired giants from, Lovelock. But I'll be honest with you, my gut tells me that's what it is. Because based on the descriptions that I read, it sure looks like it.
Yeah. Hey, brother. Hey, listen. We've been doing this for 2 hours. We can keep going if you want,
No, we better shut it down.
because I have to have a bathroom break and stretch. But if you want to keep going, I will do it.
No. Let's shut it down, and you know, I think that we'll do it again sometime. But we'll have to plan it out.
Well, you'll see if
But
this work if the audio works out good enough. People said they hear you, so if it works out, then this is the way we can do it. I guess.
well, I might go to Baton Rouge to visit my aunt, and we can do it while I'm down there. And I've got pretty fast internet there.
When do you think you're going to do that?
Oh, I don't know. It might be a week or two, but that might be. I'll let you know.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll play it by ear, man. I always like to talk to you. There's a lot of things we could talk about. So we covered a lot of ground in 2 hours. Be honest with you.
Yeah, yeah. We kind of talked all around the world, didn't we?
That's the way it goes when it comes to this topic. You can't just be very linear. You could talk all day long about footprints and tree structures and until you're blue in the face, but after a while it gets a little, you know.
Well, you notice I don't spend a lot of time on that, and I mean, let's face it, my structures are not going to be anywhere near what Mark Abel can produce, and he is the very best at that. But I honestly think it's a product of where he is. I mean, they're on top of an 8,000-foot mountain, and they just feel totally secure to do. They're not going to do that like that down here. There's too many Cajuns that are in the woods that would recognize something like that. So they kind of keep it on the down low.
Now, in my town, they make the TP structures, the X structures, and I think that I mean, and the edge of shopping malls and cemeteries. I mean, the thing is that where I live, most people, first of all, nobody hunts around in town, right? Secondly, 99.999% of the people in my town are clueless about what's going on and wouldn't know what they were looking at in the first place, which is ironic. I mean, you could literally, I mean, I've literally seen these TP structures 2 feet, 2.5 feet away from a parking lot next to an office building, literally, and nobody phased. I don't think everybody just thinks it's a kid doing it or something, right? Yeah. And so it depends on where you're at, your location, and you can go deep in the woods in say Minnesota or in other places in Northeast. That happens in Long Island and yeah, or in New Jersey or in other places in Ohio. It all depends on where it's at, and in some places you could have many complicated tree structures, and then other places like where I live they're into the X's everywhere, X's and tree lanes. It's shocking how many of it, but most people don't know what they're looking at, right? They just have no idea. I'm like probably the only person in my town is even looking.
Well, I tell you, I get to see everybody's pictures from all over the country. We've probably got people from every state, and I mean, we've got people from Africa, Australia, Britain, showing us their peeps, and there's a lot of similarities. But then again, like I said, I haven't seen any patty type sass, and I know just from what I've read and seen, they're not all everywhere, and you got to go with your gut. Go with your gut. If your gut is telling you everything's okay, then it's okay. The minute you start feeling weird, back up. That's what I say on that.
Yeah, if you're feeling that dread and terror, which I've experienced. By the way, I've experienced that in my front porch too. So, or out in the, so it. But most of the time, I don't sense anything except maybe some sense of supernatural bewilderment and just noticing that there's something in the air, in the ether that's just different. You know what I mean? There's a presence, there's something going on, supernatural. A lot of times I'm led to these. So, I mean, it's like I'm led to a location to actually film. And I don't spend a lot of time. I'm the complete opposite as you. You spend a lot of time filming. I spend very little time, yet both of us are capturing images in different locations. So there is no certain recipe to follow, except that you have to just be realistic with your circumstances and what's around you and be honest about it. And I think a big part of it is those who have real faith in the Creator God, Heavenly Father, you're going to have experiences, especially if you're vocal about it. I,
I agree. I agree.
by the way, has nothing to do with being religious. This is just actually just recognizing that there's a Creator God, and there's we live.
That's part of it, but I also think that once you uncover any truth, it don't matter what it is, you could all of a sudden realize that the cabal is real, and and realize everything that they've done. I mean, from 9/11 to freaking Kennedy assassination. I mean, they're behind all that shit. And it could be that. It could be, coming from some other area. But once you get involved in truth, it's like all of a sudden your third eye opens, and then all of a sudden you're seeing more truths. They'll just start falling out. It's like you open a closet door and all these bones fall out. And that's kind of the way it works. I've noticed. I mean,
Well, they call it having the scales from your eyes fall from you, right? The scales from your eyes fall.
yes, exactly. I mean, as soon as I started getting closer to God, all this other stuff started falling out for me to find and go, oh my God, all this time it's been hidden from me. Thank you, Lord.
Which that's things I also have to be honest when it comes to the quote unquote cryptid community or Bigfoot community. The vast majority of them want you to talk this way, and so unfortunately, this is part of the picture. This is part of the big picture. This is part of how you actually interact with things and have positive experience with these things is because of your belief and relationship with our Creator God, Heavenly Father, and it's very helpful to know Jesus too.
How close I get to it. I mean, look, I have two guardian angels with me the whole time. And I'm not worried. I'll go walk. Look, that dog man that was in that canyon, I came within 2 feet of him. I saw him. I didn't back up. I just kept walking by him. But I turned my camera on him as I went by. Because I didn't want him poofing out on me, So, I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him, and I'm going to get right up in the middle of them. I'm not worried about it one bit. Look, if they wanted to kill me, they'd have killed me a long time ago. They've had more than enough chance. Don't you think?
Certainly. In fact, I don't know anybody that's been killed by these things or torn to pieces. That doesn't mean that I'm not saying it's not happening somewhere. It didn't happen, but I mean,
I think that 411 stuff is true.
Yeah.
I think they do hijack people and give them to aliens. They're probably working for some aliens.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's a relationship with but
Right.
I also have to be honest with you when it comes. Well, others just put it this way. Remember, supposedly ex FBI agent. Uh, let's just put it this way. I don't believe everything that's been said. Let's put it that way. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but there's a lot of storytelling. Let's put it that way. Storytelling and exaggeration, embellishing to sell books and to be on the book tour. And I mean, you gotta. I guess what I'm saying is, yeah, if you're right, if you're rightly aligned with Heavenly Father and you're prepared to see these things, I mean, they've always been there anyways. It's just your eyes have been open. So if my point is this is that if they wanted to take us any one of us out, they would have done it. They could have done it. And you never even known they would have done it. That's just the thing. So it's my problem. This is what I'm seeing. Okay, David, the issue with the Bigfoot community, the cryptid community, is 90% of his storytelling, and it's all about is about scary stories and causing fear and fright. And I know that people like that, and that's part of how we're designed. That's how we learn. Our ancestors learned through stories. But the problem is, we are becoming our worst enemy when it comes to this field by constantly feeding scary, right? It's causing everybody to think that they're gonna. What do I say? It exaggerates our real relationship with these things.
Well, that is exactly why we're having the interview, Michael, is because you will show my pictures. You will show my work. I'm not going to do an interview with anybody if they can't show my work. It's ridiculous. What's there to even talk about? I'm not going to do campfire stories. Anybody can just make something up. I want to show something about what I'm talking about. And if we do that, that's something to talk about. And my story is going to have some backup. And I just think that we lack that with most of these podcast shows, man. It's just sickening, really.
But this conversation we have right here is like 1 in 1,000.
Exactly. And you can see my work. I mean, we may disagree about what they are, like Julio, whether they're evil, whether they're good, this, whatever, whether they're Nephilims or not. We may disagree about that, but you can't disagree with what we're looking at. I mean, not if you're legitimate. I mean, because they're pretty much there in your face, and they're really showing themselves. And I mean, I don't know what else I could do to show it any better. I really do try to put people right on it and show them really good. And I work hard to do that. Hours and hours of editing.
All right, buddy. Now you're going to have to hold on. Okay. And you're going to have to, because I'm going to piss my pants and I got to go pee.
Let's just shut it down, man. We've done 2 hours.
Okay, well, I'm not done yet, folks, because I still have to end this and remind things and credit. But it's up to you if you want to hang up. If not, I gotta let you go for a second while I pee. In the meantime, I'll play something here. What you?
We don't want to beat it to death. I mean, these folks have something to do, I'm sure.
Okay, I'm back. If anybody's still here, I'm back. Are you still here, Dave? You still here, Dave? Nope. Didn't hang up on you, Dave, but if you hung up, that's cool. Thank you so much, David T Hollis. Now, he's got a book out there called The Mystery of the Edda Lake Monster Revealed, excuse me. So, my dyslexia. Okay, Kisatchie Force Bigfoot by David Hollis and Scott Pace. That's the Facebook page, and Northeast Bigfoot and Paranormal Research Group Facebook page. You got the Squatchland2.com and www.xlibris.com. You can find his books and his research. I like David. Hopefully this turned out all right. Is anybody hearing me? Let's find out. Let's get in this comment section. Anything else before we hang up here? I'm sorry about that. I had to, it was 2 hours, and I had, first it was the shoulders, man. And then, oh God, man, it's not easy getting old. I can tell you that much. You're 55 years old, man. It all adds up, man. There these days, And so one of the things you get older is like that prostate thing starts happening, man. And you're just like, you got to go, and they ain't going to wait for you. So I waited and waited and waited. Actually, I was holding it for about half an hour. So, I'm surprised we pulled off 2 hours, but that's considering how the setup was, days where he's at. And I guess there was a misunderstanding between the two of us as far as how we were going to. And I know I did a show before with him, and the audio sucked back then too, but I think it's because of, obviously because he doesn't have, internet hookup. He's out there in the boonies. He's out there in the swamp, man. And so did the best we could. We were able to show some images. Share some of my images as always. Some of my take. I value David and his take. I think that we work together as a group. And those of you who, if you hear this and you are part of David's Facebook groups or mine, you feel that you could share in the conversation and that you have something to contribute, I ask you to reach out to me and let's do a show together and let's talk. You got images? Let's share them and let's talk about it. Okay. There's nobody that's better or than the next person. I mean, if you're if you're gonna try to pull the wool over me, I mean, good luck on that one. But at the same token, this is the way I want to really go about this. I really don't want to be under a Bigfoot YouTube channel, right? All about Bigfoot, because I know there's more going on than Sasquatch, Bigfoot, Dogman. There's so much more going on, folks. And this is an integral part. I mean, we have to look at all the different aspects of this, where it's this multidimensional, these parallel dimensions and universes running right next to us, spirits and everything else, physical beings, things that can manifest in the flesh. Things are really running out in the woods. I'm telling you, and there's things that are happening in his neck of the woods that are not happening in my neck of the woods, just as I said earlier. And these people are seeing this all over the world, and our voices are not being heard. You have to be forced into a camp, and where you're some new ager woo thing, or you're this flesh and blood, atheist nonsense thing. And by the way, most of us don't fit in those camps, but we're forced in those camps. And I refuse to be part of their camps. Now, you know what I mean? Because I want to know the truth. I don't want to belong to a group. I want to know the truth. I believe David is another person that's very similar in thinking. And there's other people out there, and we need to find each other, and we need to be able to have these venues, and we need to be able to talk this way. And if we need to want to talk about God, that's part of this whole equation. Yeah, there's hey, there's angels, and there's demons, and there's spirits, and there's flesh and blood things, and there's a lot going on here. I mean, there's if we're honest about it, and it's much more interesting anyways to go down that road than to say, well, they have to be some new agey thing. And right, I mean, that's total government psyops there, by the way. We were forced into thinking that. We were forced into being in two group camps. It's called the Hegelian dialectic. Problem, reaction, solution. We have the two groups. It's just like politics, Republican, Democrat, two wings of the same bird, right? All lead in the same direction, right? And that's what it is. Just like government. What is government? It's the governing of the mind, right? It's ought to lead you in what you're supposed to think. There's a television, right? Why do you think all those things were on television? Was it simply just to entertain you? Well, what is entertainment? Entertainment means the capturing of the mind. You see, they don't give a crap about us. The people at the top of this world system give a two hoots about the average Joe and gal out there. They just don't care about us. They see us as vermin. And I'm not just making this up. They call us the profane. And all you have to do is do a little studying about this. You say, well, there's all this conspiracy theory. It's all no, it's not all nonsense, and it's real. And I'm telling you that you can only go so far in the group. If you want to know what's going on as much as I do, or David does, or people like us, you're going to have to do your own work. You can't spoon feed the information. If you want to be spoon fed the information, then hey, there's plenty of guys out there, and they'll tell you scary stories, and they'll give you all these flashy CGI imagery and cartoons, and you know what I mean. I mean, they'll give you a flashy performance. You know what I mean? They'll capture your mind. You'll go nowhere with it. You'll be entertained for another night. But you're more than that. We're more than that. We're not just simple consumers. We're not just like, please, I just want to escape from all. Yeah, you know what? If we want things to change, we have to deal with what's really around us. And there's interdimensional spiritual things going on. There's physical things going on. There's multiple things going on around us. And one of the most fascinating things that I've discovered in my life is there's a lot of things going in the groves and in the trees and in the woods and in the forests around us. Oh, by the way, in the fields and quarries, and it's multifaceted, and it's one size fits all. It's just not ever going to be that way. So the best way to do it is to embrace the fact of how a brilliant Heavenly Father, or our Creator God's, how brilliant a Creator He is, how magnificent of a Creator He is, how magnificent this creation is. And I mean, how I see it is like, hey, if you went in a group, say you went to a concert, there'd be, most people are pretty cool. Some people are really cool. And there's always one dude in the crowd. If you give him a chance, he's going to, he's going to get in a fight. You know what I mean? That's how it is. And we're dealing with things. And then, so we have these sentient beings, these high intelligence and ability, right? And just like we have pets like cats and dogs and mice and whatever, the fish. Oh, by the way, they could possibly be having the same thing going on as well in their own. Hence, maybe that's why all these different entities are always around Sasquatch, Bigfoot, to grassmen, dogmen, etc. These larger, more powerful beings, right? And if they understand magic and they understand how to interact with the ether and the spiritual realms around us, then that makes a lot of sense, right? Then there's also another aspect of the whole thing about, what if a lot of what we're dealing with are literally our ancestral spirits, ancestral spirits. You say, well, that can't be. They don't look like us. Well, things get pretty dang complicated. Let's you guys remember something. 200 years ago, we were still using horse and buggies. We just discovered the steam engine, right? Or as far as use for mass production, right? That's 200 years ago. In 200 years, we've gone from that to where we're at today, having this mass communication. It's the internet, it's World Wide Web, and it's designed to capture our thoughts and our minds to feed the AI and blah, blah, blah. Still, it's our opportunity to interact with each other that never would have happened. Even 10 years ago, wouldn't have happened. I guarantee you this, 6 years ago, we wouldn't have this situation. I mean, it was a struggle just to find anybody that was even on the same page. I mean, to find anybody. And then when we did find each other 6 years ago, we're not quite sure where we're at. We're a different person than 6 years later, right? Our knowledge and understanding, our experience has grown. We are not the same people that we were 6 years ago. I first talked to David, I feel much closer to David today than I did 4 years ago because, well, listen, we've had all these years of posting stuff on his Facebook page. He's been sharing his image. I've been sharing my images. We're talking now, and we have a deeper understanding of what's going on. And we become more of, I guess, like you say, kind of a brotherhood in a way of knowledge and understanding. Still, we have our own unique experiences dealing with having our own encounters and all that. And you just can't. I know we're trained to want to put everything in a box and label it and say it's just, if we just have it in certainty and just this is how it has to be, then we'll all be happy with it. But that's not how it works. It's never going to work that way. And so and it's funny seeing other guys who are finally, there's a few people who are the next generation, the big shots, and the Bigfoot community, the cryptid community, that are starting to be a little more honest and embrace not the woo thing. No, it's not woo. No, it has nothing to do. It is the full package thing. It's reality. Embracing in reality. And, that we've been told for how many decades now we can't be. I mean, listen, there are guys telling us this back in the 1970s. And they were crushed. When I say this, I'm not making this up. There are guys, back in the 1970s, some that are still around, a lot of guys that just gave up. 60s were saying, look, there's orbs associated with this stuff. There's these there's what we call UFOs associated with this stuff. Right? There's these guys are coming in and out of portals, and there's these things are flesh and blood. It's really complicated, and no one wanted to hear them. And when they did hear them, they thought just a novelty thing. Oh, isn't that interesting? Oh, that's nice. By the way, a lot of these people are the same people that say they believe in God. And if you believe in the Bible and you believe in God, then you believe in the supernatural. If you say you don't, then you're very skewed and confused about what you believe in. Okay? And so that's the deal. That we're dealing with something that's multidimensional, physical, interdimensional, spiritual, deal with different frequencies, different energies. We're dealing with multi-parallel. How is these, science is demonstrating, is proving that we do have parallel universes running right beside us. This is how I see things now. As I sit here right now, staring at this scrying mirror called the monitor, right? In this little corner of this room, there's probably something that looks just like a Bigfoot standing right next to me, but I can't see it, can't feel it, can't sense it. It's not in the same frequency, not in the same light spectrum. It's not even in the same realm, but it's standing right there. There ain't a damn thing to do about it except to say that's the way it is. By the way, a lot of people have known this for years, by the way. They've called them shaman. They called them mystics, and they've called them alchemists, and they called them witches and warlocks and a whole bunch of other things, right? But people have known about this, and you know what? Let's just make the commoner just think it's just superstition and it's just nonsense. Let's just make sure the books are for us and not for the average person. You want to know why they don't want us to talk about this stuff? At least how I take that my thing is. And unfortunately, I wish we had more of this kind of. It's very restrictive and holding that phone and cramping up and making sure that it's right next to the mic to see that you guys could hear it as best as possible. And it's ridiculous in my setup. And I guess I got to now think about. I never even thought about in that setup that I figured 2023 that I would have to do this still. 6 years ago, it was quite common to do this. So the people I would talk to, just take the cell phone and put it next to the mic. You know what I mean? But it is, and I'm going to have to work on that a little bit so you guys can hear better. Because there's got to be, maybe, if I do get the right setup and I do reach out to the right guys, and maybe when they're out there in the field, 20 miles in the wilderness with their cell phone, and they're set up properly, then, they have some way of charging their phone, maybe cellular or whatever, a cell phone, that we could do this like this. No, I got to work on that. but there's so many things wrong, and there's times to have fun with this, and yeah, but most of it is just, how do I say this? How do I say this that I'm not so offensive to people? I don't mean to be degrading to people. I'm not trying to belittle them, but I think that, well, let's put it this way. I want to be with people a little more mature about this whole thing. There are going to be some people that want to do this and they just want to do it for entertainment. They just want to do it for shits and giggles. They think that they're actually doing Bigfoot research while they're tromping around in the woods at night with their camera and their phone and having 100 people watch them. And once in a while, somebody catches a woodland poltergeist in the shadow of a being or something like that, right? By the way, you don't have to do any of that what they're doing, right? If you're rightly aligned with this creation, if you're rightly aligned with the creator, if you're in the realm, I mean, like I'm telling you, I'm nothing special, and I'm filming these on my front porch, in my back. So it tells me that there are multiple entities everywhere. Are they the same things that David's filming? No. They kind of look the same, but they're not the same. Any more than David is the same as I am, and I am the same as David. Although we might be human beings, we look completely different. As far as our faces, God made us so that each human face is different. And who's to say that when it comes to these things that they wouldn't do the same thing, but in a little more extreme way that we're not familiar with or we perceive as extreme way. You know what I mean? So, I can rant, and anybody who pays attention to me knows that I will rant. I will rant and rave forever about it because of my absolute frustrations with this situation. Now we're talking 6 long years, and that's nothing compared to guys who have done it for freaking 6 decades. You know what I mean? Can you imagine how beat down and worn down those guys are? They're just like, oh yeah, I believe in it now. Let me go. I'm going to my shop, or I'm going to go hunting, or I'm going to. Just leave me alone. You know what I mean? Because you know what? This is because there's only so far you can go with this with people. We're not allowed to go any farther. But we're going to have to go farther if we want to understand this. We're going to have to start understanding about crazy things that seem crazy, like what I'm reading. There's a reason why I'm reading, The Adventures Beyond the Body. How to experience out of body traveling. It's not because I want to do it necessarily, but guess what? Maybe we might have to do that and understand the next level of what's going on here. And by the way, if that's the case, then we're going to be demonized by a whole bunch of another group of people, right? Vandalists on all sides, right? I'm not saying it's so, but how are you going to know unless you study you realize how, you can learn all day long about all the stories. and the history behind this. But it's not going to take you any more further, except it's just going to build your faith. We've turned this into a religion, literally, and we don't even realize. I'm not saying everyone, but I'm saying collectively as a group, what we call the Bigfoot community or the Sasquatch community or blah, blah, blah. We've turned it into a social club and a freaking religion. That's what we do as human beings, by the way. We do this as everything. It's always the people on the edge, on the fringe, that say, oh, no, I don't want to do this. I'm going to go further with this. No, you guys are going the wrong direction. No, you guys are wrong. You're making mistakes here. And no, we're not heard, but by a few. And then somebody who's got the ingredients, right? The charisma, the presentation, the way to deliver it, it comes out. It might take a generation. It might take 10 generations. There's not, all you can do is decide how much do you value the truth? You know? How much do you value the truth? Or is it just about, I want people to think I'm special? We all want people. We want to be valued. We want to be heard, don't we? We all want to be appreciated. We all want to be recognized. There's nothing, that's part of human nature. But the same token, if we compromise the pure essence of who we are, you see, all of us are adventurers. All of us are scientists. All of us are creators. All of us, deep down inside, want to know more about the truth, right? And many times that means facing the darkness, facing our fears, and facing the unknown, and understand that there are going to be a lot of people out there that are going to try to take advantage of us and say it's this way or way, and you just have to say, listen, I choose to be my own man or woman and follow my own path. I will figure out what's going on here. I don't need to be entertained by everyone all day long. I deserve better than being entertained. We all deserve better to be entertained. Remember what that means. It's your mind being captured. We all deserve better than that. There's times when it's okay. Right, it's the cult of Bigfoot. That's exactly what it is. That's right. It's a religion. You're not allowed to say the truth unless. Anyways, thank you for. I don't want to spend too much time. I want to. Hopefully, I might have to actually spend time editing this thing to bring up his voice so people can hear it. If you still hear Dave, thank you. If you hear it in the future, thank you. Everyone else that showed up, thank you. So cool that you did, and I wish that there was 700 of you. Why? Not because I want to be Mr. Bigfoot, come to me if you got a story, you know what I mean? No, I'm not interested in your scary story. I want to know what you really experienced, okay? And a part of it is, the fear, the dread is part of the, but listen, no more the not in here. We want more than the superficial level of this stuff, right? We're tired eating the dried up grass. We haven't even got to the milk yet. We get to the milk so we can get to the meat. It's a very religious term, right? But it applies in all things. Tired of the dried up grass. It's not very nutritious. It gives you a bitter taste in your mouth, and it doesn't quite take you anywhere. And how many times have I seen this in Facebook groups and in YouTube channels? It just becomes this little small culture of the same people over and over again. Those people that are interested usually just drift off and do their own thing. Most people get absolutely bored and move on because it's like, Jesus, another story, the same thing. I got stuff to do. So I say, let's push forward. Let's stop worrying about being part of the group. Let's stop worrying about being liked by the other people. There's no experts. Well, really? Okay, thank you, expert, for telling us there's no experts. By the way, here's the thing, and I know even I'm guilty of saying this, but the thing is, actually, there's a lot of experts in this room and around. You know what you're an expert of? Your own personal experience, which is seen. We're told our whole lives we can't trust our lies, but it's about time we start doing that. We got the technology. I'm going to tell you Friday if it works out, with the orb whisperer. I mean, you know what? We're going to talking about things like the the camera that he uses, the kind of technology he uses to film orbs. And if you were here in the middle and you saw the image, that video, and you were paying attention, you saw that he was literally doing that and filming them moving. By the way, that same technology and using infrared, not cameras, but lighting with the right camera, I bet you we can do that same thing in the forest during the day in the shadows. And I bet you we can get even better images. Then we're going to have to deal with all this stuff. What are these things dancing around? The guy that was supposed to be with me, Sasquatch Confessions, him and his buddy, they went to a place, they were researching all day, and they ended up staying late and having a fire. And he says, I'm sorry for missing it, but and he is who he is. He's some guys you're just like, okay, whatever, man. You are who you are, and I knew I was gambling with you, but I still don't care because you're a good guy, and we are on the same page in so many ways. And you ever out there, they had a campfire, and he said, man, it was the most amazing thing, Mike. There are orbs flying all around. This is in British Columbia, right? And he says because he's been paying attention by obviously some of my videos. And he says the campfire and all that, and we're doing this, thing we should, the campfire and he said he's all around just like the circle of these like dark spirits, these dark entities like dancing on the edge of the forest, and he said it was the most bizarre, most amazing thing. And I said, well, I think that's what our ancestors did all the time. All the time. Now, I know as Christian or whatnot, we're supposed to say, well, you can't do that, and that's dangerous, and that could, it could, you get dust or something like that. Maybe so, maybe not. I mean, how many people do we know in these churches? I don't know. We know we're not. Half of them aren't demon possessed. I mean, in the end of the day, it's like, what have they been teaching us? Really, what have they been keeping us from? And that's not just like the Pope and the Roman Catholic Church and the Jesuits and all that. I mean, there's a lot of, I have to say, medicine men and women are accountable too for keeping away the truth and bottling it up, use it as something against us and to take advantage of us. You hear what I'm saying? Can you read between the lines? I'm not telling you how to live your life or join some cult or some new religion. I'm saying, let's think deeper. Heck, I can't wait. And hopefully starting, if I'm lucky, maybe by Friday, I'll be done with that Adventures Beyond the Body, and then we can start reading Origins of the Gods, which ties in just perfectly with when M. Hayden shows up, because I remember we were talking about Indian burial mounds throughout the United States. And that's going to be damn fascinating. So, unfortunately, I'm not the greatest reader, but somebody's got to do it, so I'll do it until somebody who's better does it. So, does that make sense? Because, part of the thing is that, people do work and are busy, and they had the time to stare at videos. So let's do the research and share it. It's a balance of things. It's not just, and everybody has their specific role in all this, right? So what we need to do, at least for me, how I see it for myself, Michael Adams, what I need to do is not compare my journey with anybody else's. It's my journey. My journey is not, it's not based on what anybody else says is right or wrong. And I shouldn't compare my journey with Dave's or anybody else's for that matter. Dave has his path and his journey. I have my path and my journey. So times they're going to cross. There's times that they're going to intersect. But Dave should go on his journey. My journey, I feel strongly it's part of my role in this world is to share it. Not because I know more than anybody else. Far from it. I'm just saying, hey, I'm a dude. I'm going to go take this journey. Let's please follow me and let's learn together. And hopefully, as time goes on, people realize, well, maybe I can share something with Mike too. And we can grow more together in understanding and wisdom, right? We don't need to plague each other. Listen, we don't need to pay some dude, $1,000 to hang out for the weekend and camp and to have some, forest, most likely poltergeist come and tickle their feet and touch them from the outside of the tent. You know what I mean? You guys know who I'm talking about. And I'm not just, I'm saying something about people like that because those people there's a lot of people in our community that have, it's not even a community. There's people out there that are just taking of the situation and us. I don't want it. I don't like it. I do not like it. There's enough of that in our lives, right? There's enough of it in our lives. We don't have to take advantage of each other. We don't have to just, do we really need the cult of personality in everything we do? I can rant and rave. So, anyways, thank you, Sheldon, for being there. Thank you for Bama BF. Thank you, Julia, being there, or Julio. I don't want to say Julio. And thank you, Mike, for being there. Thank you for. Gosh, please forgive me for my stumbling. I'm bumbling. Man, of course, thank you for David. How do I know her? I've known her for. Thank you for Christy Price. Thank you for. Where are you? I got my head all focused on a million other things and instead of thinking about other people here for a second. Where are you? Oh, Deborah. Of course, Deborah. Now, Deborah Shelton Butler, known you forever. And who else did I miss? If I missed you, I'm sorry. Thank you, David. Like I said, hopefully, if there's any audio, hopefully there won't be any audio problems because this guy's from Australia for Friday. And then hopefully, if it's still a go on Monday, we'll be doing something with MK. Sure, we'll be talking about his research in Patterson film. I'm sure we're going to be talking about a whole hell of a lot more than that. And if it was anything last time, we're going to be talking about a whole bunch of stuff. And I think it's a good timing to bring MK back into my life because, MK himself is having health issues. And I think it would be a good idea to hear what MK has to say. Now, MK has been received a lot of grief as well from the quote-unquote Bigfoot community. Now, whether we agree with each other, what we're dealing with 100%, who cares? You know what I mean? I care. That's who cares. Because this has been taken aside. This is not a game of football. This is not a game. This wasn't a game for our ancestors. It wasn't a game for this creation. And listen, there's no prize in the end for which team you root for when you win. There's no winner in what side you're on, except the side that pursues the truth and wants to know the truth. The winner is that person or individual who goes for it and is willing to face things and the darkness and criticism by people to find the truth. That's the only way you do it. There's always going to be all sorts of naysayers and everything in life, especially something like this. So, anyways, I can go on and on and on. I got to shut up. I will end this with the traditional ending that I have from my friend. Eric Gibbs and some old images he's had, and I'll call it a night. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You're going to try, go all the way. Otherwise, don't even start. If you're going to try, go all the way. This could mean losing girlfriends, wives, relatives, jobs, and maybe your mind.
Take me there. I won't break.